Welcome to the Virginia is for Sports podcast with your hosts, Kevin Flippin as Flip, Paul Gilman as PG Fitty P, and Kenny Wingle as K-Dub. Let's play VA.
What's up, everyone? What's up, PG Fitty P? How you doing today, man?
I'm great, man. It's 82 degrees outside. We're about a week removed from the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony that you and I had a blast at.
Yeah, and that's what we're here to talk about. It's a special edition to just give thanks and talk about our experience at the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame. Awesome Saturday that we had. I know it was Friday, Saturday for them, but for us it was all day Saturday, and couldn't have definitely exceeded my expectations. So let's give the people a little rundown of what we did and what we experienced while we were out there. So let's do this, PG. We're trying to experience something a little bit different here with this stuff. So we're going to share our screen. First and foremost, huge thank you to Will Driscoll and his team for inviting us to the breakfast. We weren't originally invited. We were invited to the induction ceremony that was in the evening, but Breakfast of Champions in the morning was probably my favorite part, to be honest, just because easy access to the athletes and everybody pulling at them. It was a well-attended event, but super accessible to the stars, if you will.
Yeah, Will was super cool. I met him a couple of months ago, told him what we were trying to do, and he said, yeah, you and somebody else can come to the breakfast and the actual ceremony. And we ended up with a 10-person table at the breakfast, which was really cool. And to your point, the breakfast was a lot more laid back, and Will could not have been nicer. And you said this at the induction ceremony. He doesn't say or ah. Like his public speaking is flawless.
It is flawless. And that's something that you pay attention to. And, you obviously listen to people better when there's not a whole lot of and on. And it seems like his stuff is all well thought out and doesn't stumble over his words. Even if you're talking to him in general, he's just a great speaker. So kudos to Will and his team and the Henrico Sports and Events Center for putting on a phenomenal event. We'll go through the attendees and also tell you guys cool stories that we went. Here's Jill Ellis, obviously two-time Women's World Cup champion with the U.S. Women's National Team. Big William & Mary person, and had a bunch of there from William & Mary sitting right behind us at the induction ceremony. But she was awesome to talk to and had a phenomenal speech. So love meeting Jill. Hopefully we can get her on the podcast sometime. This is our dream list, is to follow up and spend some time with these people. But I think Jill would be at the top of my list to try to get on. I know she's busy in San Diego now or somewhere.
She was born in England, or at least she was born in Great Britain. Came here, I think, in high school, and still has a hint of a British accent. But yeah, what an impressive resume. I did not get a chance to talk to her. 3 people before I got a chance to talk to her in the autograph line, she had to take off because they were naming a field for her at William & Mary. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's a big day for her.
So cool. Yeah, here's your guy. I know you were a big fan of him. As far as emotion in the speeches, Rick hit it out of the park, and how could he not? I mean, the Special Olympics and what they do in their program, and have a guy like that also speaks well a long time, 20+ years as president. He received the Distinguished Virginian Award, which is not necessarily always athletes, but it's people that contribute to sports.
Yeah, he was involved in Special Olympics for 36 years. I'm sure he's still involved. He may still be the head of Special Olympics Virginia. But my wife is an instructional assistant for kids with special needs, and she's been doing that for a while, but not 36 years like Rick. And Rick, I mean, he said it. He goes, "Look, this is for everybody that volunteers or commits any time to helping kids who are just trying to fit in." And so, well, kids and adults trying to fit in. And so I'm going to have Rick on my other podcast, Stories, I think in a couple of weeks, and he could have been cooler. We had a nice chat with him after the breakfast too. He was he's a really impressive guy, and he's got some incredible stories.
Yeah, and the cool thing about this too is you can go on VA Sports Hall of Fame and go to their website, and they have every speech from every one of the inductees. So you guys can check that out on their website. Really cool to watch. I mean, they range anywhere from 7 minutes to PG. Who do you think had the longest one?
LaShawn was going for a minute, but I'm guessing Paul Woody. You mean of all time or from that class?
From that class, I think. Yeah, I think Paul was up there. Craig was there for about 20 minutes. LaShawn and Craig, I think, were close, but I think Rick and Paul Woody had good ones as well.
Yeah.
But they're all on the website, so definitely go check them out. This guy, I mean, you talk about friendly and accessible. So glad you can see this picture with me with my smile on my face, because that's how he was the entire time. It's just like one of your best friends you could walk up to and just start talking to him, and he'd chat with you just about anything. So really enjoyed listening to Craig's speech as well. And just his accolades. I mean, how many 13 national championships while he was AD at UVA?
Yeah, I forgot how prolific his time at UVA was. Also, all the stops he made along the way as a coach and as an administrator. I also forgot he was 6'10", but I remember him from my childhood. He was an assistant coach with Terry Holland, and yeah, I know Craig misses Terry because they were really close. In fact, he said Terry hired him 3 different times. But yeah, his speech was great, and it was really good to see him. He looked like he's in great shape still.
Yeah, beautiful family. I think he talked on his son is the assistant AD at Temple University, and talked about his 2 beautiful daughters as well. So he had and obviously ended with his wife, which was a phenomenal speech. So,
yeah, he did a really nice job.
Kudos to Craig and congrats. Here's your boy, PG. Chris Long, obviously UVA, great. There he is. We'll show you a picture of this stuff later, where they gave the Sports Hall of Fame gave you a sheet basically to get everybody's autograph. So you just went down the line and everybody signed it. So here's Chris Long signing the sheet, but he also signed, you get to bring 2 personal items. So he signed this UVA football card that I had, and it looked super sweet. It was unsigned, but he made that thing look like $1 million right now. PG, I think we got a video coming up. So you want to give a little backstory before we go into this video, Chris?
Yeah, I asked him as we we're going through the autograph line, I said, hey, if we find a minute or 2, I'd love to do a quick video with you. And he said, oh, sure, of course. And I'm thinking, yeah, we may not get the opportunity, but I'm certainly going to take my shot. And yeah, after the breakfast, I interacted with Monica and LaShawn and Chris, and got a really interesting picture with Chris that I can explain. But the video, I just did a little segment I call Howie, Chris, Kyle, or Howie Jr. And Chris, he was a lot of fun. He gave the impression that he's a good, humble cat just going after things.
Yeah, and you've got that video posted on our website at Virginia's for Sports on our YouTube channel. So that was a really cool, fun video. It looked like he had fun doing it. This is a video which I didn't know. I'm always looking around for sports cards and what you were flip like. So in this case, I don't know, a couple months ago, I gave you a DeBrickashaw Ferguson. So in hopes that maybe someday we get DeBrickashaw on, or we meet and we can get DeBrickashaw's card signed. But or you got DeBrickashaw's card signed, but it wasn't by DeBrickashaw. So what we're about to show you now is me walking up on PG50P as he's showing Chris Long this DeBrickashaw Ferguson card. And here's what happens. We'll let the video go.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. He was a pain in my
The ones in Henrico have them, not necessarily all of them. But yeah, the just appearance and all that.
So he signs it once in orange, doesn't look good. It says, I'm going to sign it in black too. So here's the 1 of 1 double sign in black and orange, the Brickashaw Ferguson card with Chris Long's signature on the back, and then PG50P and Chris Long doing a whose hands are bigger contest, which when I walked up on Chris during the as I was coming into the induction ceremony, and I followed up on this and said, hey, Chris, who's got bigger hands? You were a PG50P. And he's like, oh, I got him by a little bit, but Paul's got a lot of girth on his hands. So, it was pretty funny.
The girth in his hands, and as that picture shows you, that's my impression of Homer Simpson in a moo-moo. No, hey, back to him signing the Brickashaw Ferguson card. He didn't hesitate. He was excited to sign it. I gave him an orange marker that wasn't the strongest, and he said, "Hey, hold on a second. I'll sign it in black over top of it." And I'm like, "He didn't have to do that."
Yeah, that was super cool, man. Chris has got a great podcast too, Greenlight. Here's your boy, LaShawn. This is Mr. Personality. This dude stood out. He's, you got to have confidence as a track athlete, and you always see that, right? They're not not the extent of Muhammad Ali talking smack, but it's like every track person I've ever met has got some smack talk in him, and he's still as confident as he, like he was getting ready to jump back on the track right now and could outrun anybody. I jokingly said, "Could you beat Cat Williams in a 40-yard dash right now?" He said, "No sweat." So he was fun to talk to. PG, talk about those gold medals.
Yeah, I walked up to him right after I had a picture that we'll see here in a second with Monica and Taj, and I said, "Hey, LaShawn, is that your mom?" And he goes, "Yeah, that's Mom." I said, "Hey, Mom, you're responsible for everything he accomplished, aren't you?" She said something like, "You got that right," or "Yeah, of course." And then so we took a picture without the medals, and he goes, "Hey, if you want to have the medals in a picture, I'll grab my medals real quick." And I'm like, "Oh, awesome!" And then we said, "Hey, why don't you wear them and we'll take another picture?" So we got a picture without medals, the picture you see here with medals, and then he let me put them on, and he posed in another picture. So yeah, he couldn't have been more gracious about the whole thing. And by the way, he still looks like he could beat all of humanity in the 400.
Yeah. So is that the first time you've ever worn medals?
Yes.
An Olympic gold medal?
That's the first time I've been within 100
Thanks
feet
for that, Will. Look at that. Yeah, that's awesome. And then we had Hal Nunley. You want to speak on Hal?
Yeah, Hal was coach that ran off me for a long time. He was well known as being a pretty fiery guy, very serious. There wasn't any goofing around or joking with him. But I watched those basketball teams like late 70s through the 80s when Hal was there. And what's funny about Hal is he was sick a lot as a kid and prevented him from playing sports, but he loved the game of basketball, even though he never played it. I don't think, or if he did play it, it wasn't very much. But he ended up coaching for a really, really long time, and a testament to what he meant to his former players and support staff and assistant coaches. They had over 100 people from Randolph-Macon show up 20 years after Hal passed away. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah. They were all over the place. I didn't see Mike Rhodes, but I heard Will say his name. Was Mike Rhodes there? Because I know Mike Rhodes took over, so that was one of Hal's, or Hal was one of his mentor from Mike Rhodes, who's coach at VCU now, is at Penn State. So, but I didn't see him.
I didn't see him either, but who knows?
He might have been hiding somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Hal, and then next was Dave Smith, which is pretty much Frank Beamer, and he's from some time at Ferrum, but he was the primary Virginia Tech football contact from '88 to 2015. So it was at the national title games, and yeah, Dave Smith.
Yeah, well, he was a sports information director for 40 years, and he went from. I mean, look, I remember Virginia Tech in the 70s and 80s. There wasn't a whole lot to talk about. They ended up having decent basketball teams. Football teams were kind of like gimmies for teams that played them. And then he watched the meteoric rise of their football program, and then really all of their teams across men's and women's sports. They are a powerhouse across a bunch of different sports, and he got to be a part of that ride, and in a lot of ways. Help the world understand what Tech was doing.
Then we got Paul Woody, Richmond Times-Dispatch, won a bunch of awards as a writer, covered the Washington football team a bunch, VCU, went to your alma mater, Patrick Henry High School.
Not my alma mater, but where I would have gone, yeah. Yeah, no, it's all good.
You talk so much about Patrick Henry. I thought you went there.
Well, everybody I grew up with went there. And so I probably know more people from Patrick Henry than I do my own high school. But Paul put out an article, it seemed like 7 days a week for a really, really long time. And he got to cover a lot of really cool things. And Paul was really gracious to talk to too. He was couldn't have been nicer.
Yeah, he had great stories. I know he started the Richmond News Leader, and then the Times-Dispatch merged. So he was there 40 years, 29 to 19. I didn't realize how much. I mean, I moved to Richmond, the Richmond area in '93. So I read a lot of Paul Woody's stuff, because if you read the Richmond Times-Dispatch and the sports, it was Paul Woody all day. So obviously been a big fan of Paul for a long time. So super nice as well.
Yeah.
And then our last inductee was my favorite. I mean, if you're going to, her and then Taj McWilliams Franklin, which you see the picture of you and Monica up top. And then the bottom picture there is just all of the inductees hanging out at the Breakfast of Champions. So that's how you went and got the autographs. You just went down the line. They take selfies with you, sign a couple items. So talk about, when I'm talking about accessibility, you were right there, and the line wasn't 3 hours long. You could move through there, get autographs, talk to them for a minute. There was nobody rushing you. It was so cool. All-time leading basketball scorer in UVA history, men's or women's. Three-time WNBA champion.
Yeah, she had 2 of her championship rings there too. Those were neat to see. And they're I don't know what it is about sports and rings, but hers were huge, massive rings. Yeah, and the fact that she's all-time leading.
Yeah, I didn't see.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
The fact that she was all-time leading scorer, both men's and women's, that means she was better than Dawn Staley and Bryant Stith, which is pretty incredible to think about.
Yeah. Super nice. And then we got at the induction ceremony, I didn't meet Taj early, but I think Monica said something about Taj being there. And then she was on the radar. It's like, hey, we want to meet her. And I think we just stumbled upon her at the dinner ceremony.
Yeah, she was fun to talk to.
So here's what we were talking about. So So this is the copy of all the signatures that I got from everybody. So that's pretty cool that they handed that out. So we have all the inductees. This was cool and a nice surprise. Joe Gregory, general manager of the Norfolk Tides. Paul helped me with the award that he won, or they won. It's called the Steve Guback Sports Person of the Year Award. Was awarded to the Norfolk Tides. So, and he gave a great speech too. It's a nice surprise.
Yeah, really well spoken, and they got that award because they won the national championship for AAA.
Yeah, and they got Jackson Holliday, who's the number 1 prospect in baseball. They got called up to the Orioles, but they just sent him back down. So I'm sure he'll be an Oriole for a long time. And then some fun stuff, PG. I know you met Howie briefly. I was able to snap this picture. Told him I was a Lions fan. And then look who else is over there, Coach Bobby Ross. So I know he's got Virginia connections, but he noticed that I had and said that, hey, you got the UVA shirt on. I said, yeah, but I'm a Lions fan. I was excited that when you got the head coaching job there. And he said, well, it wasn't easy there. I said, yeah, because you try to put a fullback in front of the greatest running back ever, Barry Sanders. So that's why people ran you out of Detroit. But he was super nice. I mean, I know he's getting up there in age, but he chatted and his mind was crisp.
Well, let me say this about Bobby Ross. He definitely does have Virginia connections. He's lived here for a while now. I don't know of anybody else that has been a head coach of an NFL team and took them to the Super Bowl game. Of course, they lost that game, the Chargers, but the Chargers were there when he head coached. And then he won the national championship in 1991 with Georgia Tech. How many coaches have done those two things?
Yeah. I think we got a couple more picks of some other people. Yeah, here we go. Taj McWilliams Franklin. Oh, I'm going to go back. Oh, crap. Oh, man, I messed that up, PG. Let's figure out where we're at here, buddy.
Okay, you want me to just
I forgot it was a video. I'm thinking it was a PowerPoint.
Yeah, it's all good.
People aren't going to mind.
No, they're fine. Well, I mean, look, hopefully this is an advertisement for people to come to the induction ceremony next year.
Yeah. Taj McWilliams, we talked about her, 2-time women's champion. I think she was going into the state of Georgia's Hall of Fame or something like that, or the WNBA Hall of Fame.
No, it's the National Women's Basketball Hall of Fame, and I think the ceremony's next weekend.
This week, right? This weekend.
Yeah, I think it's coming up Saturday. Well, maybe Friday, but definitely coming up soon. Yeah, just real quickly, my quick story.
Yeah, she was talking about that and going different.
Yeah, just real quickly on Terry Gates there. I didn't recognize Terry, and I walked up to him and said, "Hey, you're a tall guy. You must be here with Randolph-Macon basketball." He goes, "Nah, not Randolph-Macon, but I'm a basketball guy." I said, "Oh, really? Where'd you go to school?" And he goes, "UVA." And I'm like, "What's your name?" And he said, "Terry Gates." I'm like, "Man, I watched you when I was a kid. You talking about Terry Gates?" And so we talked to him for what, 12, 15 minutes, something like that. Learned all kinds of fun.
Yeah, they had a really cool silent auction going on, which I didn't get any pictures of, but some cool memorabilia, signed memorabilia from a lot of sports. So he was over there looking at that while we were looking at it. And then we sat there and talked to him for, a good 15 minutes. And then Taj and Monica were, over to the left of us. So we left Terry. And then that's when we went over there and started talking to Taj. And she was just telling us, talking about women's basketball, the state of the WNBA, will female college athletes leave school early to come to the WNBA, kind of stuff like that. So there's a lot more people here, but these are just a few that we caught up with. I think then at the actual ceremony, we were sitting right behind the Johnny. So Johnny Grubb, who I know from the Detroit Tigers days, but it's obviously a Richmond guy, and then Johnny Newman from U of R and NBA days was sitting just a couple rows in front of us. So there's Johnny.
Yeah, and I forgot how many seasons Johnny Newman played in the NBA. It's like 17 seasons.
Yeah, it's a long time. He used to own gas stations around Richmond that used to have his name on it.
Yeah.
Who else was there? Coach Robbins from Virginia Union was there.
Yeah.
Coach Ryan from UVA women's basketball.
Yeah, she's in the Hall of Fame.
Debbie Ryan, wasn't she there?
Debbie Ryan was there. She was the coach when I went to school there. Also had Jimmy Laycock, William and Mary football head coach forever. He was at William and Mary forever. And I caught him in the parking lot as we were walking out, and he had a nice conversation with him. He was a very, very easy guy to talk to. Well done on the video there, K-Dub.
Yeah. Yeah, we're trying, man, you know. But I wanted to take the time out because, I mean, that whole day was just excitement. I'm sure the people around me were sick of hearing after I got home from the breakfast and then went back for the evening. It's like, yeah, it was just so fun to see that group of people are all under one roof in Henrico County.
Right.
Right at literally where Virginia Center Commons Mall used to be. And I used to be a store manager for the Athlete's Foot when that mall opened up. And now I'm sitting here taking pictures with Howie Long and Olympic gold medalists and WNBA champions and, you know, just a who's who of Virginia sports. And
yeah, Super Bowl champion. And it's nice to see some of the non-coaches and non-athletes that have had a massive impact on the world of sports in the state. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, we got nominations are coming up in a few months. Definitely going to put something together. We're going to be involved with Will and his team and that Henrico Sports and Event Center as much as we can, as they just put on a phenomenal event and they're even better people. So again, thank you to Will Driscoll and the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame and all of the inductees for being gracious and allowing us to mingle with them. I had the time of my life, and I'm so happy that Will allowed us to go there. So we're indebted to you, Will. So thank you for that, man.
Yeah, and he can get free work from us anytime he wants, right?
Yep, I'm down for that. But hey, guys, don't forget to go to YouTube and look for Virginia Sports podcasts. Please like and subscribe and share this stuff as much as you can. We've got some great guests coming up, so stay tuned. But make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on them. PG, you want to send us out? 2 up, 2 down?
No, man. I'm going to be good buds with Will for a long, long time because that was an awesome weekend, man.
Yep, we're out of here.